Hello Internet, my name is Ryan Ingram and I purchased this house for $10,000. And if you haven't already watched the original video that I recorded, I suggest that you go back and do so just to get caught up. This is going to be the first video in a multi-part series where I track all of the renovations that we do, how much we spend, and just keeping you all updated on if I am staying on budget or not, because I set the goal for myself originally to completely rehab this property for $50,000, and after diving deeper into it, I'm really going to do my best to do it for around $30,000. If I can get the $30,000 renovation budget, then let me tell you, this will hands down easily be the best deal that I've ever done. So I'm really excited to keep you all informed. This is the first time that I've renovated a house that has caught on fire. Now, generally, when houses catch on fire, they can be completely engulfed. It could be really bad, or it could not be all that hateful. And the more we remove the drywall and dig a little bit deeper, I am under the impression that this one is not going to be that hateful. So I've made a lot of progress so far. I've spent right at $1,808 on this project. Now I'm going to put the spreadsheet on the screen to show you my dream budget, how much I've actually got budgeted, and the purchase price, along with all of the costs that I have incurred so far. Now I'm also going to make this spreadsheet available to you if you want to click on the link in the description and follow along. So as I mentioned, this was the first time that I've done one of these firehouse renovations before, so I wasn't familiar with the county process, and in doing this, an inspector came out to assess how much damage had been done to the property, and he determined that I needed 3 permits: a plumbing permit, a building permit, and an electrical permit. Now the plumbing permit, if I was the type to really argue with the inspector, then I would have tried to fight back on this. The fire, it damaged the washer box. It was a dryer fire. It wasn't a kitchen fire like I expected. It actually started and pretty much was pretty contained to the dryer. So even the drywall directly behind the dryer didn't have that much damage on it. Yes, it still needs to be removed, but by and large, there was just a bunch of soot on it. It did, however, melt the washer box and about 1.5 feet of the PVC drain pipe in the middle of the washer box. So we had to cut out the copper fittings, the PVC pipe, and obviously the washer box, and replace all of those. I think it's pretty wild that I had to pull a permit, and the permit amount, the fees, were more expensive than the actual work that needed to be done. It blows my mind, but hey, it's not my world. Now the electrical permit was a lot less hateful. It was only $75, and ultimately what the electrical permit is for is the inspector said that we needed to replace all of the wiring within 10 feet of the source of the fire, and we also needed to do what's called a Megger test, Megger test. I've heard it all 3 ways. It's MEGGER. And apparently that's a closed circuit test where they send out a current and try to receive the same amount of current back, maybe. I don't know. But they have to individually test each circuit, and whichever one is bad needs to be replaced. So I learned that, and I thought that was pretty cool. Since a lot of smoke damage happened in the area that is still behind drywall, like we've got a few outlets that are melted in areas where the drywall isn't in fact damaged. So on areas like that, they just want to be sure that those circuits are still good, even though the actual outlets are melted, which is very reasonable, because I would hate to put all of this work into a property just for it to catch on fire again. Now, I have no idea, and nobody really knows how much the electric is going to cost, because we don't really know the full scope of what we're going to have to do yet. But as soon as we get the Megger test done, I'll be sure to do another video to explain all of the electric work that needs to be done. So far we only have the $75 for that electric permit, which is pretty cool. And then the building permit, the last one that we had to pull, that was $200. And ultimately, what we have to do there is once we pull back all of the drywall from all the affected areas, then they're going to inspect the lumber, and any lumber that is charred, we have to replace. And once we replace it, we have to get a inspector to come out make sure that we did a good job on it, and he has to sign off on everything before we start putting up the drywall and closing everything in. So they said that there's about 12 inspectors with the county, and they generally have a 1-day turnaround as far as how quickly they can get out there. So hopefully the county inspections don't drag on this process too much, because I'd really love to update you guys on a weekly basis and get this house turned around pretty quickly, because I'm anxious to see, honestly, challenge accepted. I'm really looking forward to see if I can get this done for $30,000 or less. Now, the other two things that I want to talk about are the roof and the kitchen. So a big thanks to a buddy of mine named Sean, who has a drone and doesn't have enough reasons to use it. So this drone footage actually saved me about $5,000. And I say that because at first when I saw the roof, I noticed a few nail pops when I first went out there. So I had a roofing contractor go out and take a look at it. Now, there's a corner of the property that has missing shingles, so we definitely have to replace those. But because of the nail pops, because it's 3-tab shingle, I'm not really good at determining how much life is left on a 3-tab roof, because after they wear just a little bit, it all looks the same. But fortunately, after seeing this drone footage, the roof looks incredible. So there's really no discoloration, there's no wear or stains or streak marks or anything like that. And I think largely that's because there just aren't any trees on this parcel. But nonetheless, just seeing this perfect aerial view of the roof makes me really confident that this roof has a few years left in its life. So I was given 2 quotes on the roof, a $400 fix just to replace some of the shingles, fix the nail pops, and actually take off some of the shingles, refasten some of the decking, and then put the shingles back on. That's about $400, and it only cost $5,000 to completely redo the roof. Now, before I saw this drone footage, I was leaning towards replacing the entire roof, because I just wanted to, when I walked away from this property, I wanted all of the mechanicals, all of the big ticket items to be completely done. That way it's as maintenance free as it possibly can be for the next 10, 15, 20 years, however long that can be. Now, the cabinet and the kitchen, that is a point of contingency at the moment. So on the entire property, I got 2 quotes. One is for $35,000, and I honestly don't trust that quote at all. I've never done any work with that particular contractor, and I don't know anybody that has worked with that contractor. And the real red flag is he didn't give me a price until I accidentally mentioned how much I budgeted for the property. And when I mentioned $50,000, his ears perked up, he got really happy, and immediately told me that he could do it for $35,000. And that just really didn't sit well with me. So I've kind of discarded that quote. Now, another contractor and I walked through the property, and she gave me a quote of about $12,000 just for the labor. And that made me happy, because if the labor is $12,000, if I can just limit my material cost to less than $10,000, then I would be absolutely able to hit the budget. Which is why I'm worried about the kitchen, because so far the cheapest quote that I've got on the kitchen cabinets has been $3,400. So the biggest thing that I'm going to focus on now is getting a very cheap kitchen setup. Now, when I say cheap, I'm not going the cheapest. I'm not trying to only have cabinets for a year before all of the doors start falling off the hinges. We're going to go the durable route, not the cheapest, but still a lot cheaper than the high-grade cabinets, because kitchens are truly one of those things that you can spend as much money as you want to on. So I'm going to try to limit it and be responsible. I really want to get all of the kitchen cabinets and countertops for right around $3,500. I think that would be good, because that leaves us drywall, paint, and the bathroom. Now, the last thing I wanted to update you on in this video today is the HVAC. I got a quote for adding an electric furnace, a heat pump, and also a central air unit, and all of the ductwork came right in at about $7,400. So I thought that was a great deal, all things considered, because we're definitely going to have to change up something, because right now the house only has that electric baseboard heating, and after diving into that a little bit more, I really just don't want my property to be dependent on that, because that is going to put a huge strain on the tenants during these harsh Ohio winters, because that electric bill is going to be massive. And in the summertime, there's no air. So since we have to take down the drywall anyway, I thought it would be a good opportunity to just very quickly run some ductwork and really alleviate that electric bill during the summer and winter months. So I've appropriately labeled this playlist Project Firehouse 01. The 01 is because when I was naming it Project Firehouse, I figured that, well, what if I have a second firehouse at some point? Or a third or a fourth. I didn't want to confuse myself and have like an original Project Firehouse and then multiple more afterwards. So thanks for letting me be creative and allowing me the opportunity to name this playlist Project Firehouse 01. I'm really looking forward to watch this unfold with you guys, and in the meantime, check out the Deals Explained playlist where I go through all of the other deals that we've done. Thank you so much. Talk to you guys soon.